When you hear like the full story of my career, there's like all these crazy bumps and ups and downs. My name is Bree Jenkins. I'm a Leadership Development Associate at Pixar. It's essentially a department that's in our learning group called Pixar University. And in this group, we teach classes, we facilitate workshops, we do coaching, and we find any way that we can to support leaders to make sure that their teams are as collaborative as possible, that they're as creative as possible, and that they can continue to do all of that good work to put films like Turning Red, which is coming out soon, onto the screen. As a kid, I had a lot of hobbies, a lot of interests. One of the things that I loved the most was actually math. That was a big part of my life for a while. And then I did kind of like an engineering honors program over the summer one year. I believe it was free, which is really important to my family at the time. My mom was in the military. She actually ended up taking us to Disney through a military discount. And I was just blown away. Being able to bring in some of all those things I learned in those engineering and math classes, and then coming into a park like Disney and seeing that all of those things could come to life in one way was really inspirational for me. My undergraduate school is called Georgia Institute of Technology. It's in Atlanta. I always loved math. I always loved science, always loved design and creativity. So I was like, maybe I want to be an architect. So I ended up doing a senior project in high school that was all about architecture, and very quickly realized that it wasn't exactly for me. And so when I went to Georgia Tech, I was starting to look at other options. Like, what else is there that's math and science and kind of creative? It also involves people. I've always been interested in people and how they operate. And so I ended up looking into this field, industrial and systems engineering, and that's what I majored in. When I was an undergrad, I did 2 other internships, and I also interned at Disney. I supported a group called Creative Costuming. So if you go into Disney, there's so many people who are costumed. You may not think about this part of it, but all those costumes have to come from somewhere. I was helping to figure out how can we make the process of checking out the costumes more efficient? And Disney was a really cool culmination point because I got to mix all of the kind of math and science and efficiency things with the people and doing something that I knew directly impacted their work and made things easier for them and made them have a better experience. After I graduated, I was trying to get a job at Disney. For the department I really wanted to work in, which was industrial engineering, they weren't hiring at entry level. And so what I did was I started going to all these conferences. I ended up talking to a representative at Disney, and she said, even if you apply for a level higher than what you're coming in as, if spots open up for the entry level, they'll give you a call and an interview. And ended up getting an interview with Disney for the entry level position. Probably a month later, I got the call that I got the position. I realized I need to do something to give back to my community. So I thought, let me go and pursue something in social impact. I'm originally from Flint, Michigan. I grew up there until I was about 6 years old. And then my mom then moved us to a city called Southfield, Michigan. She wanted us to just have different educational opportunities. For that, I ended up going to Berkeley to get my MBA there. While I was at Berkeley, we had a class called Dialogues on Race. And that class was pretty transformational for me. I started to investigate and explore what is it like to talk about race, and especially what is it like to talk about it with people who don't look like me. I learned a lot about how to navigate those conversations, also how to do my own self-reflection. This was really, really important for me to have as part of my job. When I decided to even come to Pixar, I needed to have diversity, equity, and inclusion as part of my work. When I graduated, I helped open an elementary school in Hayward and worked as head of operations there. And I did a lot of work on finance, on compliance, but the one that's most connected to my work now at Pixar was in helping to establish what is the values of the school, what does the culture look like, and how does the training look like for our teachers. I was supported so much through mentors, through teachers, through countless people who just gave me both financial support in terms of getting scholarships or fellowships to every school I attended, to just support of, hey, let me help you with this question. And so I think that always inspired me to do the same for others. So I visited Pixar. This person was like, well, we're opening up a position at Pixar if you're interested in interviewing. And the job was all about supporting other people. It was all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I thought if I could help support those creatives who make our films, that would be the dream. I was hired March 2020. I get a very rare experience of being able to personally connect with people and support them in their journey. So when we're creating a class like Leading Inclusively at Pixar, for example, sometimes I need to bring in my own experiences. I need to talk about when I felt excluded, what that felt like, what that looked like. I'm trying my best to talk openly about, this is a time where when I was giving feedback, I made a mistake. Or when I was making a comment, I hurt someone based on their identity. And I think bringing those things into the space gives permission to other people to bring that up too and to speak more freely. We're made up of a bunch of people who have challenges and fears, and how all of those people work together on one culminating thing that ends up being seen by billions of people around the world and positively impacting their lives in some way. So for anyone who's looking to join Pixar, one of the best tools that I used was Pixar in a Box. They have a partnership with Khan Academy. You can hear directly from people who work at Pixar about their experiences, about how they use sometimes math and science to help do their work, and how whatever you're learning in school could be applicable there. And then if you can, reaching out to people in these areas and just learning from them and hearing more about what their work is like. I'm Bree Jenkins, and this has been my path on how I got to Pixar.